All right, let's get into it. We're surrounded by them every day. Office buildings, shopping centers, warehouses. But have you ever really thought about how they get there? The journey from a simple idea to a finished building is one of the most complex, high-stakes games in the business world. Today, we're going to unpack that entire life cycle from start to finish. You know the scene. You drive by an empty lot for years, and then suddenly there's a construction site, and then a towering new building. It kind of feels like it pops up out of nowhere, but the reality is a long, grueling, and fascinating process. So how does that actually happen? So here's our roadmap for this journey. The whole thing, from the initial spark of an idea to a fully operating building, can take anywhere from 3 to, get this, over 7 years. It is a true marathon, not a sprint. We'll walk through these 5 critical stages, starting with the idea in the land, surviving the approval gauntlet, getting the funding, turning the blueprint into reality, and then, finally, reaching the payoff.
Let's start at square one. Long before a single shovel ever hits the dirt, a ton of work has to happen behind the scenes just to figure out if an idea is even worth pursuing.
It all comes down to what's called the feasibility test. It's all about answering one simple question. Does this project actually make any sense? First, you analyze the market. Is there even a demand for, say, another office building here? Then you find a specific site and check out its zoning to see what you're even allowed to build. And finally, you run the numbers, a preliminary financial model, to see if there's any chance it could be profitable. And trust me, most ideas die right here. They never even make it past this stage.
Okay, so let's say a site looks promising. Now you enter a crucial phase called due diligence. Think of it like a home inspection on steroids. You have to uncover any hidden nightmares before you buy. We're talking environmental tests for nasty soil contamination, surveys to make sure the property lines are correct, and a deep dive into the legal title. You skip this, and you could end up buying a piece of land you can't build on, a project-killing mistake for sure. So you've got a killer idea and a clean piece of land. You're feeling good, right? Well, hold on. Now comes what many developers consider the riskiest and most frustrating part of the whole process, actually getting permission from the government to build. And the time this takes is just staggering. We're talking anywhere from 6 months to 2 full years just navigating bureaucracy. And during all that time, the developer is bleeding money, paying architects, engineers, lawyers, with absolutely no guarantee the project will ever get a green light. It is a massive, massive gamble.
And this isn't just about filling out one application. Oh no, it is a whole series of hurdles you have to clear. You're submitting incredibly detailed site plans, you're conducting traffic studies, environmental reviews, and you often have to go to public hearings where the whole community can weigh in. It's a true gauntlet.
Okay, the project is finally approved. The city says yes. Now you just have to solve the next little problem, coming up with the millions or tens of millions of dollars needed to actually build it.
So where does all this cash come from? Well, it's almost never from a single source. It's put together in layers, kind of like a cake, and it's called a capital stack. The biggest piece, usually about 65 to 75%, is a big construction loan from a bank. The rest is equity, that's the skin in the game, from the developer, who we call the sponsor, and often from other investment partners too.
Now, when you're dealing with those lenders, you're going to hear this term a lot, loan to cost, or LTC. It's actually really simple. It's just the percentage of the total project cost that the bank is willing to lend you. So if you have a 70% LTC, that means you, the developer, have to come up with the other 30% in cash. It's how the bank manages its risk. You might be wondering, okay, so how does the developer get paid for being the ringmaster of this entire circus? Well, they earn what's called a developer's fee, which is usually around 3 to 5% of the total project cost. That fee is their compensation for their expertise and for taking on all this incredible risk. All right, the money's lined up, the permits are approved. And now, finally, we get to see the blueprint leap off the page and become reality. This is the part everybody recognizes, the actual construction. So right here, the developer faces a huge choice. They can build on spec, which is short for speculative. That means they're building without a tenant already signed up. It's a huge gamble, right? You're betting someone will be there to lease it when you're done, but the potential reward is much higher. The other path is a build to suit, where a specific company has already signed on the dotted line. It's way safer, but the returns are usually a bit lower. But don't think this phase is just about bricks and steel.
It's an intense project management marathon. You've got weekly meetings with the owner, architect, and contractor. You're constantly managing draw requests to the bank to get funds released. You're fighting to control change orders and costs, and you're doing quality inspections nonstop. One slip up here can blow the entire project budget. Okay, the construction is done. The building is standing tall and beautiful, but the job is still not over. The final phase is all about turning that brand new, empty building into a stable, income-producing asset. The big goal here is to reach what's called stabilization. I like to think of it like a rocket launch. The whole development process is the high-risk, fuel-burning ascent into space. Stabilization is when you finally reach a calm, stable orbit. It means the building is mostly leased up, think 90 to 95% full, and it's generating a steady, reliable income. That's the point where you can finally pay off that risky construction loan and get a normal long-term mortgage. Now, throughout this whole 3 to 7 year odyssey, there are countless ways for things to go wrong. Some of the biggest pitfalls are underestimating your soft costs. That's all the invisible stuff like architect fees, legal bills, and permits. That can be a huge part of the budget. Getting stuck in entitlement delays is another classic project killer. And of course, not having enough cash set aside for unexpected problems, that's a rookie mistake that can sink the whole ship. So when you lay it all out, the years of work, the enormous financial risk, the bureaucratic headaches, it is an incredibly demanding process. It really makes you wonder, with all these risks, with everything that can go wrong, what is that powerful drive that compels people to take on these monumental challenges? What keeps us shaping the skylines and building the world of tomorrow?